Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio again Dr. Ngozi Ukeje. You're welcome.
Thank you,
Father. You look very nice in this dress.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
The last time we met, we discussed the importance of psychotrauma healing, and we discussed your experience at the previous psychotrauma healing workshop of Terra.
Yes.
And we shared what your own experience and the experience of your colleagues were, and how especially the mind, body, spirit connection, how revealing.
Yes, Father.
And the art therapy and the forgiveness sessions.
And the mind and body, spirit.
Yes,
oh my gosh, yes.
Now,
it was packed full.
Today I want us to discuss the reality of trauma in our society, and therefore the imperative of kindness.
Oh my word.
Having established the fact that everybody, as you said the other time, everybody is traumatized.
Yes.
You need, perhaps you need to state it again for people who didn't watch our previous one. The idea of the Nigerian environment and the widespread trauma. Maybe you state it again.
Yes. We in Nigeria are very traumatized. We don't know we are, but our lifestyle, what we have to go through, what young people have to go through, what even the elder people have to go through, what even children are going through in Nigeria. We're all traumatized at every level. We're literally walking on eggshells. And at any moment, it can erupt. But we don't attribute it to mental illness. And when you think about it, trauma is that something is going on in our minds and in our thinking capacity.
Some wound, some hurt that has not been dealt with.
Yes. It's like when you have a canker sore. If you don't treat it for it to be completely healed, it keeps erupting. It keeps coming out. It keeps the pus and the whatever. So that's what we're dealing with right now. We have trauma. People are not forgiving one another, and more things keep piling on that sore, and it keeps keeping the sore alive.
Now, how do you deal with a situation when, during the workshop, if I recall, there was the whole issue of, I think it's Father Richard who said, well, people talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. But that
PTSD.
when the trauma is ongoing, it's not post. What about because the Nigerian traumatic situations are ongoing?
Yes, they're ongoing.
So we're not talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. We should be talking of some kind of ongoing
traumatic
stress disorder.
Because we are constantly under stress. Look at our roads alone. Look at the way we live. Look at some of our neighborhoods. People are at the point where they're building themselves into forts.
Oh yeah.
Because of the fear,
insecurity
level that we have.
Everybody is living in a prison he built himself.
Exactly. That to the point that you can't even get out of that prison yourself, and you have the key.
Yeah, you have the key.
You have the key, but you still can't get out of the prison. And what does that do to your mind? What does that do to your thinking? What does that do to your peace of mind? We are walking around with people who are not at peace whatsoever. And yet God says, peace I bring to you.
My peace I give you.
My peace I give you. And we call ourselves Christians. And young people can't even move around because their parents are not at peace. So they transfer that fear and unrest to their children.
I mean, the best place to illustrate it is in nursery schools and primary schools. Is a lot of research in childhood trauma and adult addiction, adult misbehavior. Talks about when a mother is traumatized, either during pregnancy or in the first few years of a child, the child lives out that trauma.
Yes.
In one form of delinquency or the other.
Yes.
And now we have the overwhelming majority of our mothers being traumatized. traumatized on account of insecurity,
Yes.
traumatized on account of domestic abuse,
Yes.
traumatized on account of poverty.
Yes.
Just name it.
Yeah.
And they are giving birth to children.
Yes. Some of them are so traumatized in the sense that they can't even move from the four squares of their house. They cannot go out without somebody knowing where they are 24/7 or giving them permission to go out. Now, here is an adult. You're 40 years old. You're 50 years old. You're married. Because you're married, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter. You cannot think for yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot function as a full-fledged human being. Whatever you learned is not allowed to be produced into anything that is substantial. Why live?
Yeah, it's very distressing.
Very distressing. And every day you're still in that same situation.
When I drive around and I see full adults sitting down and they are gate men from morning to evening, just sitting down there for somebody to knock the gate, which may happen 2 or 3 times in a whole day, to get up to open the gate. And I'm saying, what's happening in the brain? The brain is not being exercised, the limbs are not being exercised, and this person, for me, is just wasting away.
Yeah, actually, now, because of the phones that we have, they buy these phones and they listen to all this other junk that is
junk,
not,
and it's a lot of junk.
It's a lot of junk, and it is not productive.
Yes.
And so you have, like you said, a gate person who is there for at least a minimum of 12 hours, if you, depending on the shifts that they're running. Some of them are there
24
round the
hours.
clock. And they're listening to this kind of negativity all day long. None of them, some of them have the potential to read.
But you hardly see them reading.
There's no book around. There's nobody who is encouraging them to read. Nobody is saying to them, you know what, take this book and read this book. And then when I come back, you and I will have an intellectual discussion.
Talking about reading, like for these people who, a lot of people, I mean, they say close to 50% of young Nigerians are not employed.
They're not.
If they were reading temporarily transports you to another world.
Yes.
So if you are reading a novel about Sweden, the reading takes you from that moment to Sweden.
Yes.
And if you are reading about the apps, in the Swiss apps, it takes you to Switzerland, and so on and so forth. But when you just sit down there, just hearing junk and gossips.
Yes.
And which idiot celebrity is sleeping with another idiot celebrity?
Exactly.
See what it does. It just reduces the mind, and as I do tell people, it makes people live from the waist downwards.
Exactly. And you find these young people now craving for that craziness, and so they'll get themselves involved in something that they have no business getting themselves involved in
because of what they are feeding themselves upon.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that all gate people have to be intellectuals. That's not what I'm saying. And we know that that's not possible. But where you have someone who has some kind of intellect, encourage that person.
I mean, look, we have drivers.
Yes.
We have gatemen. We have security and so on. Some of them went to school.
Yes.
So some of them went to high school. Some even beyond high school.
Yes.
And I'm saying, why don't we introduce them to reading? Even if it is only newspapers. Begin from there.
Something.
To read it rather than just listen to these things all day.
Yeah. Now you have these, they're not necessarily iPhones, but they are Samsung upper level phones. Now you can go onto Facebook and look at all kinds of craziness.
And there's no end.
Oh my gosh, no end to the rubbish that's on there. Sometimes I look at my phone, I'm like, how do I get you off of my phone? I don't want you on my phone, but it's all part of what is in the phone system, and you can't get rid of it.
So you need a lot of discipline.
Very much so. And if you don't have the mindset to be disciplined, then you're going to get yourself into trouble.
Seriously.
Yes. What our world needs today is empathy.
Now, that brings us back to the discussion.
Yes.
Empathy.
Yes.
In a world that is so challenged, and in a society like Nigeria that is so challenged with all kinds of tragedies, today you hear 70 people killed by bandits here, so people
yes.
abducted, this person abducted. Then you hear of some poor family. I mean, I read recently of some poor family. They came and abducted 2 of their children and are asking for 50 million.
Yes.
A family that perhaps in 5 years have not seen 1 million. Now, when that young man was narrating his story, I just felt like weeping for him, because how is his day? How is his night without his family?
Yes.
I heard of Professor Ango Abdullahi, that they went to his village and abducted his daughter-in-law and 4 children. Whereas a month before or a few weeks before, his son was one of those released from the Kaduna train, whatever, haven't paid whatever number of millions. And I'm saying, in his old age, what quality of life?
What trauma is he going through? And what trauma are those folks going through? The last session we talked about the 2 priests who were abducted.
Abducted, yes.
I mean, they have a lot of work to do to be able to reset their minds.
I mean, one of them told me that after 3 weeks, when the money they requested was not coming, that the bandits or the abductors, they put handcuffs and chains in his feet and handcuffs.
Can you imagine?
And he said, he told them, I am not a criminal. You came to my house to pick me up. Now you're putting handcuffs on me like a criminal.
Yes. Why?
He said that was the day he wept. Because he said, this is extreme.
Yes, very.
Under the circumstances, then you have poverty. A woman whose husband earns 30,000 naira takes perhaps 3,000 to the market.
And you can't buy anything with 3,000 anymore.
What can you buy?
In our markets today, you can barely buy anything with 3,000. And when you talk to the merchant, it's not my fault. It's the country. Everything has gone up. How do you even justify all of that?
Now, so there's the poverty, there is the insecurity, there is, all kinds of things.
Yes.
So perhaps you have mentioned the word. What we all need now is empathy.
And the dictionary definition for empathy is affection, it's passion. But you and I can't eat and touch affection. We can't eat and touch passion. For me, what I say empathy is I care.
Care, that is it. I mean, I care. And then I use the word kindness.
Yes,
kindness. Even I tell people, between husband and wife.
Oh my gosh.
You need kindness.
Yes.
When the love of God gets cold, what is it that can make this relationship survive?
Exactly.
Be kind.
Kind. Caring. Show the person. Yes. I came up with something. I said, I care. I truly care. I truly and sincerely care. I care unconditionally.
I care.
Unconditionally.
I truly care. I truly and sincerely care. And I care unconditionally.
Now, if we use that as a mantra and we continue to keep that in our minds, then forgiveness becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
And when you forgive, your heart and your spirit is elevated, you're free, you're not burdened, you can actually move from point A to point B.
Your blood pressure goes down.
Oh my goodness, we have so many people in our country right now on high blood pressure medication that is not doing any good. Their blood pressures are still up. Have we checked behind to see what it is that's causing that continuous high blood pressure? It's not
a medication matter.
It's not a medication matter.
It is all the things that are heavy upon the mind.
Exactly. In my family, we've suffered some serious trauma in the last year and a half. Twice we were burglarized. I mean, literally in our house at 2 a.m. in the morning. Young people came in and literally blew every door to every room out. The blessing is that none of us got hurt. They took everything you can think of that they could carry and disappear with. And before the police got there, they were a long time gone. And I'm talking about, okay, well, what security do I have?
No. We are on our own. When it comes to that matter, we are more or less on our own.
And those kinds of back-to-back incidences have its own trauma that it brings. Yes. So if you as a family member were traumatized before for something else, now it's
re-traumatized.
It's compounded.
Yes.
And it affects your sleep.
Of course.
And when your sleep is affected, how you function on a day-to-day basis is affected, how you think, everything scares you.
Did one of our professors not say during the trauma healing that because he was robbed at 2 a.m., that every time it's 2 a.m., he wakes up.
He's up.
He's startled up.
And stays up till the morning.
Yes.
Now, how is that helping his body to regenerate? Because when we sleep,
that's when the body is repaired.
That's when the body is regenerating. If we're not sleeping, then guess what? There are a lot of things going on wrong.
Under these terrible, unwholesome circumstances, we are seeing what we all require is to be schooled in caring for one another. In life could still be tolerable.
Yes.
If under these circumstances we show care and kindness.
Yes. And so how do we do that? That's the question. How do we do that? How do we start teaching each other to care for one another? Because the very first thing somebody will say to you, it's not my problem. Well, it is.
It is, of course.
It is your problem because it affects each and every one of us.
We're all
connected.
We're all responsible for each and each responsible for all.
Exactly. And if that were not the case, God would not have created all of us. He would have created one person, and that is it. But he's created all of us because no one is an island unto himself. Mm-hmm. And we need to hold each other by the hand and make that circle around the world that says we do care.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is often said that it is not in our place to cure. It is God that cures.
Yes.
But we have the power to care.
Yes.
We have the prerogative to care.
Yes.
And even the nurses and doctors in the hospital, what they do is actually care. Because at the end of the day, it is God that cures.
Yes.
But they create the environment for God to do his work of curing.
Yes.
By caring.
But they're not taught either in their medical field how to care either. They are taught the basic, this is what you need to know, biology, chemistry, blah, blah, blah. You need to be a doctor. When you go in there, you have a strong face. You should not show any emotions. If somebody's crying, what are you crying about? That kind of thing. And can you imagine a young person? In our country now, we have young doctors, 24, 25, 26, that are coming out. And now they're putting Dr. So-and-so beside their names. They're still children. And yet we throw them into this environment and say, you cannot show any emotions.
Yeah, that for every helping profession, that is a problem. It's definitely a challenge to see somebody in serious suffering and not to be able to show emotions. But I hope you understand the context.
Yes.
The reason is that if you show too much emotion and you become more helpless than the person you are about to help, then who is helping who?
But that's the point. So you as a doctor should have someone else that you can go to cry to that may not be the patient.
No, definitely should not be the
outlet.
May not be the patient. Should not be the patient. Should not be the patient.
True.
Yeah, you should be able to manage your emotions when you are with the client or patient, and then have
an outlet.
Yes.
That's a part that we're missing.
Yeah.
And that's the part that we don't teach them. And so many of them go with this stuff. And it comes piling on and piling on and piling on. And it affects their families.
Of course.
And it affects how they interact with other people.
Everyone in the helping profession, social worker, doctor, psychologist, should have a supervisor to whom you can go to onboarding.
I'm not so sure that supervisors are really the place for them to go.
Well, in psychology, it's called supervisor.
Yeah.
But it's actually, the supervisor is a counselor.
Yes.
It's your counselor.
Yes, exactly.
So it's your counselor that you go to onboarding.
Yes.
And then sometimes he can advise you on how you handle a particular case and so on. But you are able to cry before.
Yes, that person.
Yes.
And it cannot be someone that has any control over your livelihood.
Oh, no. Not not your professional supervisor. I mean somebody whom you actually look for him to be a supervisor.
Or her, whoever that person is. Yes.
You look for the person and ask, can you be my counselor?
Yes.
Maybe you're more comfortable with counselor.
Yes.
Can you be my counselor? In the Catholic Church we call it spiritual director.
There you go. Yes.
Can you be my spiritual director? So that you can go to him and be who you are and be completely free.
Yes. And you feel safe. It's a safe place.
Yes.
What I say to you, I know is safe. However I function with you, I know is safe.
Yes.
You will still give me a hug. You will still say it's okay. You will still, and I can walk away from there feeling relieved.
I did mention before the issue of kindness even between husband and wife.
Yes.
I'd like us to develop that a little in the few minutes that is left, because within the context of home, everybody is carrying a burden.
Yes.
Including the wife and the husband.
And the children.
But often when one person is angry against the other, he or she forgets that the other two is in pain.
Very true.
And perhaps he or she has behaved the way he or she has done because of the burden they are carrying.
Exactly.
So I'm calling for kindness. Be kind.
Yes. Well, see, a lot of stuff happens because we don't even teach our children what kindness really looks like. And then they grow up to be these adults, and we as parents are saying, get married, get married, get married, get married. But we haven't really taught them what it is to be in a marriage.
They don't have the emotional preparation.
At all, they're not. And, I need a grandchild, I need a grandchild. No, you don't need a grandchild. If you want a grandchild...
You want a grandchild, not you don't need.
Yeah. But why is it that you have to punish your children just so that you can get some kind of satisfaction, and you think that your life only ends and begins with a grandchild? That should not be the reason why you push your children to get married.
It's a tall order in our society, helping people to recognize that.
And unfortunately, in our churches, off of the pulpits, a lot of pastors, you don't worry, you will get married. This year it is going to be your time to get married. And so these young people are running around waiting for this, and then they fall into something that they didn't expect, and they get into a marriage that is not
that is not a marriage.
That is not a marriage. And then children come into the picture, and they think that yelling and screaming that they're doing in the bedroom is not affecting that child that's in the next bedroom, and the nanny who is with the child in the next bedroom, or the whoever else they have in the household. Everybody's hearing that, and oh no, I can't leave my husband. He's kicking my and beating the what out of me every day. But no. We're married. It's for the children's sake. It's for the children's sake. In the meantime, we're killing our children.
It's a pity. I mean, I do say that a lot of people. I mean, I made it clear during the previous parenting workshop we had that a lot of people who are going into marriages today neither have the spiritual preparation, nor the psychological preparation, nor the emotional preparation to go into marriage.
That's very true.
And people are, just for the same reason you are saying, people are going into marriage because they need to satisfy their mother. They love their mother, and their mother wants them married. They need to satisfy their father, who, and so on. And some left on their own may not even think it's time to go into marriage. Left on their own, but they are living under pressure. And the pressure could be very intense.
Very.
So our family bonding and the pressures of our family, they add to the problem of trauma.
Yes. I have, I always use myself as a personal experience. My children picked their partners. I had absolutely nothing to do with it. And I told them, you pick, you deal with. So if you have a problem, both of you figure it out. You will never ever be able to point fingers and say, Mom made me marry this person, and so Mom, come take care of this mess that you've created. No. So even now, many people, they pick their partners. However, they are under pressure with time to pick their partners. No. I don't believe in pressuring young people.
So that is it. But it's just to say that however it happened, whether the individual made his mistakes or her mistakes, people are hurting.
Yes.
And need
much.
care,
relief,
and kindness.
Yes.
That's the point to be made.
Yes. And we need to start acknowledging that. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't acknowledge that that is the issue that we have, that people need to be kinder to one another. People need to show care to one another. And until we acknowledge it and start to put it into practice, we're going to
Pope Francis is famous for saying to families and to young couples and so on, to say, there are these 3 expressions that should be coming out of your mouth every day in marriage. Please. Or may I? I am sorry.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Oh, my word.
He says, if you live your family life with these expressions every day, then good for you.
Yes.
Please, may I am sorry. And thank you. Because he says, don't presume that good behavior coming from your spouse, don't take it for granted. Your spouse is a crazy person.
Yes.
So for all the times he does good, say thank you.
Hello, yes.
Yeah, say thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
And then, since you too do crazy things now and again, be ready to say, I am sorry when you are confronted with it.
Yes, exactly. And that is something that we don't teach our young children. When I was growing up, the magic words were please, thank you, and I'm sorry.
Yes.
Those were the magic words. And my parents would look at us and say, what is the magic word? And so you heard that over and over again. So for me as an adult and a grandmother, I'm sorry is very easy.
Yes.
So if any of my children, my bringing up or my raising my children has not always been so super wonderful. We've had our issues and we've had our problems. And I've gotten adult enough to say to them, if I did hurt you, if I did say something to you that upset you, if I've done anything to you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If either I've written it as a letter to them or I've spoken to them individually.
And on that note, we'll be bringing this program to an end to say that actually it is an act of kindness.
Yes.
It's part of caring.
Yes.
That when you see somebody hurting, you say, I am sorry.
Yes.
Even when you don't believe you are guilty. You see, because I see some people these days who think until they are convinced they are guilty, they don't know how to say I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Say, no, it's an act of kindness.
Yes, it is.
That you see somebody else hurting and you say, sorry. I am sorry.
Yeah. You're the bigger person.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I've been speaking with Dr. Ngozi Ukeje of formerly of the Base University, management consultant and training coach. Now we have been discussing the need to be kind,
yes,
the need to care, because everybody around us is hurting.
Yes.
We pray for a better society.
Yes.
We pray for a better country where maybe we can come back to this studio someday to celebrate how things have improved in our country.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
God bless you.
Thank you, Father. God bless you.